Today I thought we could draw something. Don't ask me what that something is. I haven't drawn it yet. If you're new to the channel, you probably don't know, but I used to draw in ballpoint pen a lot, particularly purple ballpoint pen. Oh, I chewed on this one, that's not professional. And recently on Instagram, I saw Cosmic Spectrum. Yana was posting a bunch of purple pen sketches, and I just got so inspired. So that's what I want to do today. So if you want to draw along, grab a pencil and let's get started. Don't forget to check out Yana's Instagram. Trust me, you will not regret it. Don't do it till after my video so you don't compare us. I don't need that kind of comparison. But I gathered a couple other tools that it looked like Yana used. One was highlighters, which I've also used with my own ballpoint pens, so I have those handy. But something I've never tried was that Yana used alcohol-based markers, particularly a purple one. The very, very light ones like pale thistle and iridescent mauve. I feel like that's a surefire way to sound snooty, is to tell someone that your favorite color is iridescent mauve. Prismacolor color-erase pencils underneath their pen sketches, so I also accumulated some of those. So I'm going to start first by just drawing with pen. I made a whole video, I think it was 2 years ago, talking about the benefits of sketching in pen, and back then I sketched in pen almost every single day. And I don't know, some reason I kind of dropped off of it. I kind of fell back in love with drawing with pencil, which I still love. But after seeing Yana's art, I was just like, I just need to dabble again. If you've never tried drawing with pen, I definitely, 10 out of 10, recommend. I definitely think it can teach you some things that maybe pencil won't teach you quite as quickly, like simplifying shapes and taking less strokes to draw the exact same thing, having to commit to every stroke. These are rounder eyes than I usually draw. They're kind of cute. So what some people don't know about pens is that you can get a couple different widths and tones with it. If you're very light with it and kind of give it an angle, you can get some thin, lighter lines. And if you like go straight down and push really hard, you can get thicker lines. And then obviously there is a whole spectrum and variety between those two options. So you kind of learn to be very light-handed. And sometimes with a pencil, I think the ability to erase kind of makes you think that you don't have to be as light-handed as you probably should be in those first sketches. And with a pen, you can't erase it, so I feel like it makes you a little bit more cautious. That's probably something I would recommend beginner artists, because drawing very thick and dark is how a lot of us start. Didn't have room for the feet. I keep doing that. I need to invest in a taller sketchbook, because I keep making that same mistake of starting really low and then running out of room. Doesn't help that I draw huge heads, I'm sure. Let's give it some big poofy sleeves, because I made the hair kind of like stick out, and to avoid tangents, I think adding these huge poofy sleeves will add contrast. Add some light shading. I feel like she needs a crown. She's giving me princess vibes. Something that looks like this. Then I want to show you what you can do with some alcohol-based markers when you layer them on top of a ballpoint pen. Alright, I'm going to grab some of these Copic markers. I'm going to show you what it does. We zoom in there, and I start playing around with the nose. It actually picks up the ballpoint pen and spreads it around, because if you look at this color, this is what it would usually look like. It's like a very light grayish purple. But when we mix it with the ballpoint pen, it lifts. And I just love that effect. The way it like smudges around. I don't know why. It just, something about it just sparked something. And I'm like, I want to draw them myself. I think it's just the cohesion between these colors. I just like the way it colors, but also captures the essence of the sketch. You're not removing anything, you're only adding to it. And sometimes when I add color, like an illustration over a sketch, you lose part of that sketchiness. And in a sketchbook, I don't want that. I could probably use a white gel pen on top of these for some little highlights. And so the more cross-hatching you did with pen, the darker the color's going to be. And something about that just excites me. Oh, so sketchy. Oh, see, now that that has dried and I'm going over it again with the same marker, it's not lifting as much of the pen, so the color is becoming less saturated and more like iridescent mauve usually looks. Another thing I saw Cosmic Spectrum do was use like highlighter. This is something I used to do all the time. Dying. It's almost, I think it's time to lay it to rest. But I just like the cohesion of all purple. I don't know, it's just so monotone. I don't know, something about it I really, really dig. And it just inspires me. let's do some more. I'm gonna try and draw her again, but this time with feet. So I'm gonna sketch the whole body before I put too much detail. Okay, now her legs are really, really long. I didn't really see that for this character. I'm gonna make those shoulders even poofier. Why not? Try to capture some resemblance to this character. I'm gonna go ahead and add some color now before I quite finish the pen sketch and see how it works in that order. Go back in and work on the face. Not finding enough contrast in the colors that I chose for this one. So I think I'm gonna have to keep playing with it. See what I like, see what I don't like. I wanna try the sketching with a pencil and then going over it with the pen and then getting that same effect, but I'll obviously be able to get a little bit more detail there somehow, because I'll have had more layers and more time to figure it out. I think our character needs a little bit of a redesign. Or I'll draw something else completely, who knows. Oh, that eye ended up right on the seam. That's tricky. Realign those ears. Ooh, and we have the ability to erase. This feels so strange. For some reason I didn't draw a body, I just kind of finished a head there. I don't recommend that, because now when I try to draw the body, I might need to move the head just a smidge, and I've already put on all that effort. I'm gonna pull some of the hair up. This piece can come down the same way it's been happening. Get that fun little squiggle at the end. And then here, I'm gonna draw like the same squiggle, but up higher, because the hair's being pulled back. And then the rest of the hair falls normally. That way we can see a little bit more of her shoulders. Although, wait, we forgot her crown. Let's go over that with the pen now. Actually, I could probably erase it lightly first. Now, let's go in and add pen. I'm gonna try to be finer with it, not go over the same lines as many times. Kind of like, treat it like a line art, but obviously I don't want to be too strict with it, because I still want it to hold that sketch. I think that's what I like about this style of coloring and sketching, is just how sketchy it looks. So I wouldn't want to do anything to harm that. I think that's one of the best ears I've drawn in a while. Nice. Ooh. Yeah. So you can't get a mouth like that on your first try. You gotta have that sketch layer. It's kind of the same mouth I tried to do there. You can kind of see the difference. Definitely a slower process than maybe just sketching directly in pen, but you can get some more elegant results, I'd say. Ooh, and because we're being a little bit more detailed and delicate with it, I can add little extra details. What if we had like, this is going off my sketch layer, but like little flowers, kind of like falling down the side of her head here. I had a bunch of them. A couple that are just dots. You don't have to go into detail on all of them. If you do put the effort into a few of them, it's something I've kind of learned. It's all about making the illusion of something instead of flat out telling someone what to see, because people are pretty smart. They can usually figure it out. I'm gonna just give the illusion of the clothes instead of flat out drawing them completely. Marker time, marker time. Go back to iridescent mauve, my favorite color. See, if I go in and avoid touching the lines, that's the color we get. But when we go ahead and touch the lines that we've drawn in pen, it turns so much brighter. I just love the like hue shift. It just feels so natural. Like you can't force that. It just, something about it, something about it. I love it. Now here where I've added cross-hatching, it's gonna be extra vibrant. I'm sure the more I do this, the more I'm gonna figure out what happens when you do what, and then I can start using that to my advantage instead of just being at the whim of what happens. And at this point, the sketch is almost completely invisible. Or the first sketch layer, I should say. It also looks like the larger you sketch and the more space between the lines, the less interaction with the pen the markers are going to have. So it also has a different effect than obviously drawing smaller, like those ones. Like, I think I understand it, and then it like does something different. Keeps it interesting. I'm gonna switch, I think the other color's a little lighter. What was it? Pale Thistle. If you don't have a light Copic marker and you're using some cheaper alcohol marker alternatives, and none of them are light enough to be able to get like this sort of subtle effect without changing the color drastically, you could try getting like a water brush. You know how you fill them with water, you unscrew them, and there's a brush on the end. You could try that and fill it with rubbing alcohol. That would have a very similar effect, I bet, if you have one of those on hand. You won't get that purple undertone, but you will be able to lift some of the pen. I should see how this looks when you use like different colored pens. I have a pink and a blue pen right here. Let's see what pink looks like. I'm gonna still use that pale thistle color. Ooh, now that's bright. Try it with blue. Blue doesn't quite lift as much, it doesn't look like. The purple is overpowering it. It should be to get the full extent using a blue marker and a pink marker with these. Ew, yuck. Do not mix purple with green. Not that pretty. It almost looks gray at this point. I kind of want to go in with a darker color like viola. And color under and behind the flowers to make them pop a little more. And give them some dimension. Kind of lift them off from the hair. I can also use this to shade behind the hair here. Oh, I can't believe the difference of the way it's working when I did the sketch layer first versus when I didn't. Because there's just a lot more ink put down there than there is if you add the sketch layer first. Very interesting. I'm learning something. Gel pen as a final little touch to this sketch. All right, more. You can see I was doing this the other day too. I really want to draw someone with a full body. I can afford to be really, really sketchy with it because I'm using a pencil. There's definitely benefits to each and different lessons you can learn from each medium. So don't ever get stuck with one for too long. There might be a lesson another medium wants to teach you. And you'll never learn it if you don't go try. Really like when people do the hairstyle where they put like the space bun on top of their head with only half their hair. Then they let like the rest of their hair fall down. I don't have the hair for this. I can't pull it off, but it's so cute on other people. So I'll just have to settle for drawing it. Feel an urge to draw dark tights, black tights, dark tights, I don't know. Something about the anatomy is really, really off, and for some reason I can't even figure out what it is. I can just tell. If I knew what it is, I'd be able to fix it. Well, I'd at least be able to try to fix it. I mean, it could just be that she's missing arms. We'll go with that till otherwise corrected. Am I solving it? Am I solving it? Slowly. I like the sketch though. It's got a lot of like expression to it. Something that I probably would not have been able to do with a pen at this point in time. Maybe back in my pen prime. Alright, let's go ahead and what I did with this one, lighten the sketch. Sometimes if I'm having trouble lining up the eyes, I'll just draw these two dashies, like the top of the eyelid, and make sure those are lined up before I go ahead and draw the whole eye. You can make sure they're kind of similar in width. Give it all the shape that it needs. That is some thick hair right there. Don't forget to like fill in some of the background elements because that's just something I like to do. Perfect. Oh, wait, feet. Trying to draw like lace up boots. I haven't drawn these in an eon. Probably since last winter, maybe. Actually, maybe the winter before that. Need to get some more practice in. All right. Now that the sketch and the line art, second sketch layer I should say, is done, I'm gonna go in and add some more color. Start with our lightest. I just love how saturated it gets because that's kind of my style when it comes to coloring in faces, is really saturated around the eyes and the nose. And that's also where I happen to draw line art, so it just works so perfectly for what I'm looking for. Let's highlight the ends of the fingers. Let's use the next darkest, iridescent mauve. Actually, that's what I've been using for the hair in all these. Let's do... Oh wait, but I do because I have a color scheme kind of in mind. Oh, and I guess the other thing I really like about this is that I like to color in the darker sections with more pen. And because I do that, it gets more saturated when I add marker, which I really, really like. I like the saturated shadow look. All right, now I'm gonna move, actually I'm gonna use this same iridescent mauve for her skirt. It's almost like the more detail you put into something, the more saturated it's going to be. All right, then the plan was to move on to this BV01 and color in her tights. Might need something darker than this actually, now that I'm seeing it on here. This might work for the tights, but I might want something darker for the turtleneck. Oh yeah, see, I'm not getting enough contrast between the hair and the turtleneck. Next darkest I have is V17, which that's probably really, really dark. Oh yeah. I could either use this to color in the shirt, Or I can color in the darker sections of the hair to create the contrast. Guess I made my decision. I didn't really think about it. I just started doing it. This color is almost the exact same color as the ballpoint pen when it dries. Which is kind of interesting. That's kind of cute with the two-tone sleeves. Too bad it wasn't part of my plan. Bye. Although that hasn't ruined it yet. Watch this. It's actually really cute. This one definitely comes the furthest away from my inspiration, even though I haven't looked back at what Cosmic Spectrums looked like, but starting to making it my own, that's for sure. I just love the cohesion of the similar tones and like the way it gets more saturated where it's kind of darker in the sketch. So I don't know, I really like this little style. The last bit of space here. I feel like drawing this character again, but revisiting the face. Does that look like the same character? Honestly, this looks exactly the same. It's even like the same angle. It's kind of creeping me out. Talk about same face syndrome. I don't like that. This looks too similar. I'll draw another one here. I'm gonna elongate the face a little. See if we can avoid same face syndrome for a few seconds. Hey, it's working. This chin's in my way though. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Oh, it looks like a little rose. That's kind of cute. Get the section that comes in front of the ear. I've kind of been simplifying things, especially hair. Just weird shapes like this. Let's just add add the pen. Line up the eyes. She has really thick, although I drew, they're the same person. This is her disguise when she wants to dress like a peasant. It's settled. Alright, color, color, color. I'm excited. I usually hate adding color to my drawings. Not where I derive the most joy, but this is exciting for some reason. Okay, hate was a strong word. I just don't really care for adding color. Digital art is a completely different story though. Digital art, I think I love every stage of creating art. Line art's the most repetitive one, but it gets done. Color in the hair next. Starting with the eyebrows. Ooh, that'd be a fun experiment. I should see what happens if it looks any different when you add the cross-hatching on top of the marker. So like right there. I mean, it's a little cleaner. I can't say it looks all that different. Let's go back over it. You know, depends on what you're going for, I guess. Blend it out with the other color. You know, standard marker procedure. A little cross-hatching, darker sections. They just need a little something extra. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. I can probably go over it again with that mauve, that iridescent mauve. That'll just make it a little more saturated. Saturated shadows are just so fun. I'm gonna just add some pen over top of this. Some nice, fun, big, frizzy hair. Hopefully it'll look like a different character, even though it has the exact same face. And thin the eyebrows up. That might make it look like a different character too. Just ignore the fact that this one's on top of it. Where's this? Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I'm like, why is that so dark? It'll probably blend in a little better. It's kind of interesting what parts seem to brighten up and what don't. Or the way it seems to like stay on the marker for a certain amount of time. Add a dimple. Feels natural. Kind of like a ponytail maybe. Ooh, look how saturated and pink that looks. A lot of scribbles going on. I'm gonna darken it up a little. Maybe kind of desaturate it just a little. I can touch it up. I feel like this page is really sparse. Little dots fill in some of the white space. So I have a fear of white space or something. I don't know. That's what the doctors call it. I'm kidding. I just like to look at the spread as its own like illustration in a way. I wish my pink highlighter wasn't on its way out, or I'd color some things in here. Yeah, see that? I think it's at its end. A little extra little pizzazz. Anyway, I just wanted to share this new technique I kind of discovered thanks to Cosmic Spectrum, and I've been having a lot of fun with. Thank you, Cosmic Spectrum, for just posting your art and sharing it with the world and allowing someone like me to be able to see it. It's just, I'm very thankful, and you've really given me a lot of inspiration lately in the last couple weeks, so thank you for that. And also, thank you guys for watching. See you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye! Now what do I do with this page?